Hello, everyone. Great to see you. And I'm delighted to be joined again by my great friend Ryan, who's kindly agreed to come back onto the channel. And we're here, people, to discuss Arsenal as always and to take a look at how their preseason went down. What were the main takeaways for us? And we're also going to look ahead to the new season, how we're feeling, and what our thoughts are about how Arsenal can do this year. So, Ryan, welcome. Great to have you here. How
Thank
have
you
you
for having
been?
me back. Been good, man. I've just been excited. There's been so much that's happened in July. Um, I just can't wait to see the pieces of the puzzle or what the puzzle's going to look like for this season because we've got a lot. We've got the usual domestic cups. We've got the league to think about now to make sure we're trying to get back into Champions League. We've got Europa League to try and possibly get another trophy outside of the domestic. Like, and the competition's heating up. West Ham, they've made a few signings now. Man City obviously have bought the goal scoring cyborg himself. Like Chelsea looks like
Yes.
they're about to do a raid because they bought Sterling as well, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
Um, so that can't go too wrong. They also took, is it Amari Hutchinson from us?
Oh, yeah. I was surprised about that. Yeah.
I was shocked. I was shocked too. He looked like a really big prospect, and I was
Oh,
shocked to
yeah.
see that he's gone. He wasn't alone. So yeah, there's a lot that's been going on, man.
Yeah. It's been very eventful. There's been a lot happening, Ryan, like you said. And I want to start with pre-season and just to take a look at your impression of the pre-season. So, Arsenal recorded wins against
Yeah,
Ipswich, Nuremberg on the tour, and then
yeah,
they went to the United States. They beat Everton, Orlando City, and also Chelsea 4-0. And they then
yeah.
beat Sevilla 6-0 in the Emirates Cup. So a few big takeaways here, Ryan. For me, the number of goals that were scored and
Mm.
also the effect of particularly Gabriel Jesus as the new signing. I believe he scored 7 goals in 6 games. So
And
I'm
mm,
incredible
yeah,
numbers. So I'm curious to hear, Ryan, what is your impression of the preseason?
um, to be fair, um, you can't take too many negatives from it right now. I mean, the biggest thing I suppose is that it's pre-season. These games they're made to be more carefree and fun to the players. Um, Obviously, there's always going to be a boost to the club when you've got new signings as well as signings that are of the same type of energy that the club's already working with. Zinchenko, you can see already that he's got the bubbly personality that Arsenal seem to be going for. Jesus, um, he just seems like he's been there the whole time. Obviously, it helps having a few Brazilian Portuguese talk like language players there. But right now, I mean, you've got to take your hat off to not only the boys but Arteta, the training staff, because we seem to not have had many injuries over preseason as well, which means we're looking at Friday with next to a full strength and health squad. Um, Touching on the results, like you said, I have to draw an idea to the Sevilla game really quickly because I don't think, and maybe I've read something wrong, but I don't think they've ever been beaten so substantially.
Yeah,
Like those are the type of Europa League games, and even like the European games that you kind of go, they're a tough outfit. Like they're not. I didn't see the lineups, but they're not an easy team to dismantle like that. And for 6-0, Jesus got his hat trick. And Ketty has been on the score sheet preseason quite a lot preseason. It's looking good. There seems to be a lot of chemistry and partnerships building.
massively. And one of those main partnerships I was so excited about, Ryan, was Nketiah and Jesus. They just seemed to strike up an understanding. And the other partnership that I enjoyed was Not that I saw the matches in their fullest state, so I did see highlights. But from what I heard, Saliba's
Mm,
reintroduction or integration into the team was a real success alongside Gabriel and still keeping Ben White sort of at right back or right central defender. So they had
yeah,
three central defenders. So it seems as if the chemistry, as you said, and the team composition is looking strong.
yeah. I think it's when it comes to Saliba, I always thought he had potential. I mean, unfortunately, we didn't really get to see him in the Arsenal colours before when he first signed. But I think that period of time has shown his maturity. Well, I'm hoping it's showing his maturity because he did get sent off to Marseille. And there was a period of time where he was playing unbelievable football, and it looks like we may lose out on another player, a young player that we should really be trying to keep our hands on. But he's come back, like you said, he's reintegrated. He's been reintegrated into the club, and it's almost like he didn't leave. Like there's been so many people from all different clubs, all different supporting clubs, like that have said he's a serious centre back. And like I've said many times before, I like Gabriel. I think he's not quite our Van Dijk, but he's that level of enforcer in the club. And I think one of the things that he lacks at times is pace. But Ben White and Saliba seem to have a bit more pace than he does. So having Zinchenko, having Tierney, having Bellerin still being there, having Tomiyasu, Cedric is still there. Like there seems to be a lot more cover now in terms of the pace at the back, which is a very good thing. Um, but yeah, no, the partnerships are looking healthy. Like Ramsdale's got his number one shirt now. Congratulations to Ramsdale. He deserves it. Like you said, the partnerships at the back. It looks like we've got a decent partnership with a back three, as well as a back five or just a normal back four. Partey is going through his controversy at the moment, but he seems to just have taken everything that he's learned from last season and introducing it into this next season. I would have loved to have seen him and Torreira though. I would have loved to have seen him and Torreira. I think that was a shame, but Torreira just never seemed settled. He didn't quite seem like he wanted to be there. Bless him. And then the wingers, the Ødegaard being captain, the strikers, everyone seems to have a real team feeling, real family feeling, and I think that's what Arteta has pushed for since the beginning, and you can see now that it's working.
100% Ryan. And what you just said there, for me, that was the most noticeable factor from the trip was the cohesion and the togetherness in the camp. And I think, as you just said, Arteta needs to take full credit for orchestrating that feeling. And I think in many ways, this is his biggest success at Arsenal, is how he has brought everyone together and kind of reshaped the ideals and the attitude of the players in terms of, and this is something you mentioned before, of wanting to play for Arsenal and taking pride and taking on that responsibility of playing for Arsenal and what it represents on and off the pitch. So I can really see the Arteta effect in that way.
Yeah, to the point where players from Man City that they've been champions. They've been at the top of they've been the apex predators, if you like, of the league for God knows how long now. Yes, Liverpool are Liverpool. We can't take anything away from Liverpool, but Man City have been the team to beat. Like you almost every season kind of expect them to be, if not at the top or second. And to prove Arteta's morals, to prove Arteta's ethos, his ethic, all of it just shows. Like Jesus, he came and he said, he literally said in an interview, the guy asked, what do we expect? We've got a couple of goals today, it's all looking very good, but what can we expect from you for not only for club, but for country? And he just said, fight. you can expect me to fight. I'm gonna fight for my family. I'm gonna fight for my team. Zinchenko, like, there's been nothing but like high praise from his past teammates and his countrymen. And these are the type of players that Arteta's bringing into the club. You know, like Ramsdale. We've seen how much of a spirit he is on the pitch, whether he's doing it for his team and his fans or he's doing it against the other team and the other fans. We've seen it. Tomiyasu gets his head down and works hard. Ben White seems like he really has a form of leadership as well as he can be led. You know, I've spoken about Zinchenko already, but even his now faith in Martinelli, where seasons when he first started was like, why isn't he playing? You know, he completely shredded Kante one game, and everyone was like, oh my God, we have found the Messiah. And then all of a sudden, he just never appeared again, and everyone was bamboozled. So you can really see his effect, and I encourage every Arsenal fan to give him a bit of time. You know, give him the respect he deserves. You know, he managed to be the only manager that, you know, made Nketiah want to stay. Before Arteta really had sunk his teeth into the club, he was adamant that he was going to leave. Everyone was adamant that he wasn't going to sign the contract, but all of a sudden, he's got a new contract. He's got a new number. I've never seen him smile so much. You know, he's built a partnership with Jesus in the space of weeks, but these things wouldn't be possible unless Arteta's structure and plans were in place. So I really take my hat off to him, and I can't wait to watch the Amazon Prime All or Nothing. I think I'm hoping that's going to be amazing.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Ryan. And it leads nicely into my next question, the next area that I want to talk about, which is the new season ahead. Now, we've spoken very encouragingly about Arteta. So how do we see Arsenal shaping up when we compare them to the other big rivals? So the likes of, maybe more relevantly, Tottenham, Chelsea, and Man United, but also with an eye on, can we close the gap on City and Liverpool? So how do you see Arsenal going this season?
In all honesty, I haven't got a clue. And for the first time in a long time, I'm really excited, because I look at it and I think to myself, the one time of the year or the one period of the year that I can't stand is the end of the season. Because unless there's European football or, you know, that little spurt of like the playoff games that you have after the Premier League and stuff, there's like nothing to watch on my weekends, and I'm just like, dude, I need to do something. Give me anything. But because Arsenal have been so active in the transfer market, because you know, we can see the changes in the camp and everything, I'm actually really excited. But I have to be an honest Arsenal fan and say we've had so many times where things look so good, but the problem with us is consistency. Now, in terms of Man United, Tottenham, and Chelsea, I think we proved from last year that we've closed the gap. We haven't quite done it yet. We haven't quite surpassed them, but we have shown that, you know, if you take your foot off the boil, we will do you some damage. We had a quite a frustrating little period towards the end of the season, but we still finished in contention. You know, we still finished with certain teams going, you know, one or two more games and they could have possibly got, you know, third. You know, we was so close to knocking Chelsea off of that little perch. And like you said, with the introduction of all the new players, I feel like we are even closer now. But it all comes down to the games, you know, like it all comes down to the pressure. It all comes down to, the days where we do lose, like the mentality of the players, the passion to make sure that that doesn't happen again. You know, that want to do it. And the new season, I'm excited. I'm excited. You know, Jesus has scored ample amount of goals, and I've watched again, like you said, the highlights, and he just looks hungry. Like I remember from our last conversation, I was a bit skeptic because I've only seen him as a supporting role. I've only really seen him as a backup option if somebody's injured, or you know, as a fresh legs to come on once we've run the team down. But he's shown that he has got killer instinct. He's shown that he likes to get himself into the small spaces and get little flicks and little chips and like placing the ball around the keeper. He doesn't seem to be one of the people that every shot has to be a rocket, which I like, you know, a bit of cultured football. But yeah, next season, I think our biggest thing for me is obviously getting back into Champions League, and we have to finish above Tottenham. Yeah,
yeah. It's been 6 years now.
Yeah, we have to put them back where they belong, which is down in the table somewhere. We have to step it back up. But I will say I've seen a few videos of the Conte magic, and he is putting them through some work.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be slouches. They're definitely going to be fit comings for the coming season. But it's about time now that we push on. It's about 100%. Time now that we put some of the rumors to bed. We put some of the naysayers. We quiet them down a bit. You know, I think it's important to try and out of those 3 teams, I think we need at least 4 or 5 wins. You know, we've got to play them twice. We need to beat, preferably Tottenham, but we need to beat one of them twice. And the other 2, we need to at least get 1 win throughout the season. Then the others, the ones that you expect to win, like, it doesn't seem as bad if things go slightly left, because you know what? You showed me that you can fight against the top. It will be frustrating, but you have to remember, when it comes to football, anything can happen. How many times have we watched the FA Cup and a League Two team has absolutely blitzed the Premier League team? You think to yourself, well, how did that happen? But it's heart, it's passion, it's faith. Like we said, in the manager, in the club, is saying that, you know what, no matter who's on the team sheet against me, I'm gonna do my best. And if you've done your best and you lose, I'm not one to complain. Others will. But if I can see, like, what match was it? I think it was Liverpool. There was a match last season where it was so high intensity that at the end of the game, all the players couldn't even celebrate.
It was Liverpool. It was in the Carabao Cup semi-final first leg, because Xhaka got sent off. And then, of course, and then we were playing with 10 men for like 70 minutes. So I remember that, right? Yeah.
Everybody stuck it in. And the thing is, we didn't play bad football. We didn't look like, you know, oh, this is long. Let's just get this game over and done with so we can go on to next week. Everybody put in a shift. Everybody wanted to get a win. And at the end of the game, everyone just collapsed. But I feel like, especially with me personally, I couldn't go, oh, that was terrible. What kind of performance was that? I could honestly look at the screen and go, you know what, boys? Like, whether it would have changed with 11 players or not, you've put in an absolute shift. No wonder why you're knackered. Mm-hmm. Like, if I can see that next season, then I can't really complain with the outcome. But I just hope the outcome's going to be good. You know, I just hope the outcome is top 3.
100%, right. And I'm so I completely agree with those sentiments that you've mentioned, Ryan. And I have a feeling that they're all interlinked. So what I noticed from last season, in that period from January to March, before the international break for the World Cup qualifiers, Arsenal went on a really strong run. We won a lot of games, but we had to expend a lot of energy in the process. And like you mentioned, that Liverpool game, we were down to 10 men, played 70 minutes with 10 men. I remember a similar game against Wolves where Martinelli got sent off for two offences in the space of 15 seconds. And it
15
was
seconds.
this, yeah, it was the same story. We had to like hang on for dear life in order to
Def-
win the game. And it
yeah.
felt like that was a theme where Arsenal had to expend so much energy to win those games. And I think that maybe lack of know-how or tactical awareness about how to just manage the game more efficiently might have caught up with us at the end of the season when we were so tired because we were running on empty at the end. So maybe the experience and the fitness, the squad management all needs to just take on a new phase of learning from what happened last season. And on that point, Ryan, I just want to ask about how do you think Arteta is going to manage the squad with the Europa League now coming into effect? So, how can he guard against burnout and physical fatigue from the players while still keeping a strong starting 11 for each competition? So, how do you see him getting the blend this season?
To be fair, I think you nailed it right at the beginning of that of the question. It's we did expend like but again, like I've said before, Arsenal are trying to come out of their generational habits. You know, like how many times have we seen that we go 1-0 down before we win 4-1? But they've had to be punched before they start throwing punches. Arteta, I feel, has done exactly what I would want him to do to sort of rectify those errors. He's brought players in the positions where initially you kind of think to yourself, we've got players in that position. But one thing that we've always not had sometimes is strength in depth. Now, I probably won't go through every position, but I'll go through key ones for me. Goalkeeper, Matt Turner, he's got some proving to do. Obviously, he's done well. He's done okay in pre-season, but I don't know him. So but then again, I didn't really know half the players that Arteta's brought in properly. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops with him and Ramsdale. That's going to be like a positive sort of. They're going to be battling against each other to try and get playing time, which is going to be really good. Left back, you've got Tini and Zinchenko, two very, very strong and different players. We've mentioned about the centre backs. It looks like there's going to be a swap between Ben White and Saliba. Obviously, at times there will be Rob Holding and Gabriel, but it seems like Gabriel's stapled his place as the first choice centre back pairing, and then it's between those three. Right now, it's probably leaning towards Saliba, but I don't want everybody to get too carried away yet. Again, pre-season friendlies are made to be less intense. They're supposed to be less taxing because we want you to get rid of the dust, you know, your holiday, get rid of all of that, get yourself moving for the pre-season match practice. Right back, I still think we're a bit thin. Cedric did do well, but there's a level of the game that I feel like he's struggling with a little bit, and I think it's more the physicality and defending side of it. He does well going forward, but Tomiyasu does fall them back, so you kind of need someone that's willing to put in that same amount of energy. Centre midfield, we bolstered it with Maitland-Niles is still there. Whether he stays or not, I don't know, but he's still there. We brought in Vieira. Zinchenko can also play there. So, you know, we've got more numbers on the bench for those elements. Wingers, we bought the Marquinhos. He can play both wings. Reece Nelson looks like he's staying. He can play both wings. Pepe, I'm really excited to see what Pepe brings this year, because Arteta said, listen, unless he wants to go, I want him to stay.
Yeah.
And he looks like he generally wants to try and build his confidence back up. But again, we will see. Also having Smith Rowe, Saka adding into that mix. And then up front, we've got Balogun's just gone on loan, but we've got Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus. Now, for me, I probably wouldn't have let Balogun go on loan. But then how can you deny someone that's that young trying to get his game time? But I feel like we do need a third. How are we going to get one? I don't know how it's going to work in terms of game time and, like the dynamics of it all. I'm not 100% sure. But I feel like we're going to be heavily stretched or then again, Martinelli. But, if one catches an injury, the other one's going to burn out, like you said. If both catch an injury, then we're going to try and play Man City football without a striker. And but I feel like that's one thing that he's definitely looked into for me is strength in depth, squad depth, especially with the Tielemans deal looking like it's back on. There's a few, but I think that's how he's going to counter it. I think we're going to see like an old Arsenal setup where your cup teams were slightly different to your first 11, like for the league, So, do you remember the days of like Ali Adier and stuff where they wasn't quite first team, first 11, but every cup game you knew he was in there. Van Bronckhorst, Van Persie when he was trying to make his standing, like these type of, I wouldn't really call them fringe, but like not quite first 11.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm really seeing this summer, Ryan, in terms of the bolstering of the guys that you wouldn't call fringe players, but who aren't nailed on starters. You feel there's a good pool of options that Arteta can draw upon and potentially interchange. So one game he might play Nketiah on the left with Jesus down the middle, Saka on the right. Next game he might play Martinelli on the left. He might interchange a little bit with Lokonga coming forward instead of Odegaard. So it'll just be interesting to see how he adapts things. And that's one player.
Vieira as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so intrigued to see how Lokonga gets on this season because I've just got a feeling we're going to see an improved version of Lokonga, and I think he'll have benefited from the season he's just had.
I think it's important because if you look at it as well, where we bought Marquinhos, I feel like he's going to play more of a winger role instead of Smith Rowe. And I feel like Smith Rowe's now going to drop back into like the number 10 role, like Ødegaard, so that we don't burn Ødegaard out. He's now the captain. There's going to be a lot of pressure, but he is by far the best cam that we've had in a little while, so you don't want him to burn out. You want to make sure that Smith Rowe is getting game time, but you can't really put him over Martinelli at the moment, Vieira's still got to find a way to come into the team fold. So I think it's like we said from the last conversation we had, it's actually probably more important that we've got more games in our season because these players can then get game time. Pepe can have almost 90 minutes when it comes to Europa League, when it comes to FA Cup, Carabao Cup, or whatever it's going to be called this season, because every year it seems to change. But, but like when it comes to these tournaments, these players can get 75 minutes, and actually have a chance to show themselves. Like Lokonga, I think he has so much potential. But again, you can't put him over Partey at the moment, but he's learning from Partey. You can't, as much as it burns me to say it, you can't, in terms of experience, put him over Xhaka. But if you put him over Xhaka, you're going to get like 10 less red cards a season. But we're not going to go into that one. But it's going to be interesting, dude. It's going to be really interesting, and I can't wait to experience it with you. It's going to be there's going to be a lot to talk about.
There really is, Ryan. There really is. And what I want to kind of round up the chat with this time, Ryan, is sort of a focus on this first match against Crystal Palace, because obviously Arsenal are starting the season as they did last year. The first match of the new season is featuring Arsenal on the Friday night. And with that, there's a focus, there's an attention. All eyes are going to be on Arsenal and Crystal Palace. How are Arsenal going to send out their early message? Are they going to really show the league that we mean business, or is there going to be a sense of faltering or doubt about Arsenal? So, what are you hoping to see from this first match, Ryan, against Crystal Palace?
What I'm hoping to see is just a solid performance across the board. I want to see the same team cohesion that we've seen throughout preseason. I want to see sort of like an 11 that are in their positions. So the whole Saliba or Ben White thing at right back, for me, I'm just not a fan sometimes, you know, like they've both done well, but I feel like it's just not your position. So it's difficult for me to see it. But again, I just want to. I obviously we would love to get a win, over Palace. But you've got to also remember, even though we've been very active in the transfer market, Crystal Palace have now had a whole season and a pre-season with Vieira. You know, we can't take away from that. You know, it would be easy to go, it's only Palace. Like, we should at least, like, even if we get a 1-0, it's a win. Yeah, I hear you, it's a win. But you can't fall asleep on Palace. You know, Vieira's he seems like he's turned into a really good manager. And let's be honest, he's got the pulling power. Maybe he just hasn't got. Maybe the club at the moment don't. I haven't really seen them do much, but he's kept them in the league. He's given them a respectable, start to his managerial reign. I think I would expect to win, because it's the type of team that throughout the rest of the season you kind of go, that's going to be our 6 points. But again, we just have to wait. It's a different energy. It's a different atmosphere, you know, like in pre-season, the teams are just happy to see your players on the pitch. You know, everyone's just like, oh my God, like, how did he play that pass even though he scored against my team? You know, it's more lighthearted. When it comes to the actual season, you know, like, especially having your first game away, it's going to be very hard to maybe blood certain players into the club. I think it's going to be a real interesting watch. It's going to be a real interesting one, because Selhurst Park is not an easy place to go to at any point. You know, they don't give you the game. They don't just hand it over to you. So it's going to be an interesting one. I would love to see who Arteta picks in key positions. You know, I'd like to see if he starts Jesus or starts Nketiah. You know, you've just given Nketiah a new lease of life. You've given him a new number, a very important number to the Arsenal faithful as well. You know, like, do you say right now, even though Jesus is Jesus, you are Arsenal's main striker, you're the number 14, you know? Do you unveil the new player? Say if we get anybody in, or do you play Zinchenko, or do you play? Is Tierney? No, Tierney's still injured, isn't he? So it will be
getting
Zinchenko.
His fitness back. Yeah, it looks like it will be Zinchenko. So,
you know, do we play Saliba, or do we play Ben White? You know, like, there's some real interesting little things that can happen.
There really are, Ryan. And I've just got a feeling he's going to start Nketiah and Jesus, because I feel some of Arsenal's best play in pre-season featured both of them.
Okay.
That's just my theory. I think he might play them both and maybe have Martinelli on the bench and then bring him on. But we'll have to see, because I just feel Nketiah has shown such, the word you used in the previous video, such hunger and desire for the Gunners, that I feel he's staking a claim. He really is. And
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it from him. Anybody that I've spoken to about Arsenal before, and I'm pretty sure I've said it in our first conversation, that he just didn't seem like he wanted to be there. He didn't seem like he was hungry. He was happy to just amble and walk around the pitch. He didn't show that that fire that you want from your young players to say, like, I want to be known. I want to be apparent. I want you to recognize me. I didn't see that from him, but now, like we had in our last conversation, like he's really matured for me, and it's a breath of fresh air to see that players can actually do it while at the same club.
Yeah, 100% right. Because it's normally the case that once a player becomes a bit disillusioned or lost at a club, they
Yeah,
fade away and they need that new lease of life in another venue, another club. But with Nketiah, like you say, he's done it at the same club. He's managed to revitalize his career at Arsenal.
yeah, yeah,
Again, I think this is Arteta's man management and his people skills to keep Nketiah on side.
yeah.
So,
Because I
Ryan,
don't think he would have
yeah,
stayed with anything else. I
no,
don't think he would have stayed. He didn't look like he wanted to, but he seems like he's really embracing Arteta's ethos. Like I was saying, his philosophy. He's actually believing in the process that he has said that he's going to do. And this is a reason why as well I really want to watch the All or Nothing,
oh yeah,
because I want to hear what he says to them in the changing rooms that
yeah.
has really changed the mentality of Arsenal. And it's noticeable.
You know something, Ryan, that makes me laugh. It's I still can't work out if this sort of nurturing and plans for each player is like a carefully conceived plan and Arteta really thinking it through, or if it
Yeah,
just kind of happens by circumstance and a little bit of luck, because it seems to happen this way with Martinelli, with Nketiah, even with Saliba, where the
mm,
sequence of events seems to always lead to the player flourishing at the end. But
yeah,
at certain points with those guys, we were like, hey, we need to be seeing Saliba, we need to be seeing Martinelli. Have we forgotten about these guys? But after a bit of time, you would maybe Arteta had a plan all along,
yeah,
but
yeah. This is what I mean. It's like at the beginning when when Saliba went out on loan and Martinelli wasn't getting played, and you know he would bring on Nketiah instead of Lacazette. You kind of go, dude, what are you doing? Like, what
yeah,
is
yeah,
going on? But you look at it and you think to yourself, okay, maybe he didn't want Martinelli to burn out because he was getting little niggles and little injuries and stuff, and he wanted him to jump on a little, maybe like a plan, a gym plan to get himself more supple, more strong, more evasive because people are going after him. Um, Maybe he said to Nketiah is like, listen, I'm gonna give you 5 months, 6 months, where it's gonna be a toss up between you and Lacazette. I will give you the game time that you are asking for, but you have to show me you want it. If you don't show me you want it, then you can find a door with Aubameyang, or
yeah,
you can have the number 14. But you have to prove to me that you wanna be the number one striker. You know, Saliba, he could have said, "Listen, you're going out on loan. Right now, I can't cater for a player that I don't know, but you show me what you're capable of, and you could almost tell me to where you want to play. Because Saliba's come back, he's cut the hair off. He looks like he's been he's done a little gym program and regime, and he, like I said, he just doesn't look like he's not been there. He doesn't look like he's been playing with a completely different set of players, or he doesn't look like that Guendouzi was able to get in his head. Like
that was what I was worried about. That Guendouzi was going to be like, get out of Arsenal, stay at
like,
Marseille.
even to the point where Tavares is there now. So clearly we have a
Yeah,
healthy link with Marseille. It's just for one player. He couldn't
yeah,
quite do it, and it does make you think what conversation or what was it that Guendouzi just couldn't get behind? Because
yeah,
what we're doing right now is primed and set for his comeback. You
yeah.
know, listen, Xhaka has played really well, but we're still worried about the almost guaranteed mistake that he's going to make in a big moment. If you come in and solidify this position, it could be yours.
Yes.
It could be your spot, because I really like Guendouzi. I always have. Yeah, he was a bit young and naive, but he's older now.
Yeah.
Like what was it that just didn't work? Because it seems to work for everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, it seemed to switch Nketiah on. It seemed to bring back the faith to Saliba. It seemed to give Martinelli patience. You know, it seemed to tell Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko, look, I know you're at City, but this is where you want to be. You know, like he's a people person. He looks like he's a manager that doesn't take any rubbish. And that's what we need. You know, I couldn't see any of our predecessors that could have done what he's done so far.
100%. He's got a little bit more authority or sense of standards than Wenger. I feel like as much as I love Arsene, his greatest strength was also his greatest flaw, in the sense that he liked giving his players freedom and always backing them and defending them, but maybe at a certain point he allowed a little bit too much to go unprompted, and he just let them be a bit too frivolous with their actions, and maybe the professionalism suffered as a result. But I feel with Arteta, he's getting the balance right. He really is.
Even down to the contracts. I read a little article not too long ago where he was like, if players deserve big contracts, they will get big contracts. But you don't do that because you've apparently made a name for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like one of our highest earners right now in the club is Partey.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like where before Bamian was buying a new Lamborghini every week. Yes. You know what I mean? Like
I know.
Ozil was just sitting on ridiculous money for sitting on the bench. You know, like now players are actually looking like Arteta says, if I don't work hard.
Oh man, yeah. And I tell you what, Ryan, something I love about Arteta, and this is something we've agreed on, is just how he relates to the media and in the press conferences. And you put it so well before. It's almost like he has this set script that he's willing to give to the media, and then he's not willing to give you any more than what he wants. So no one is going to prize anything out of him. And I love how he just kind of straight up says, no, this is how it is, and that's it. And then
it's like, yeah, guys, I stopped that conversation about 10 minutes ago. Yeah, let's leave that one behind. Yeah.
Oh man, I really enjoy how he relates to the media, because they, you know how it is. They sometimes like try and prod, like especially with the Conte stuff, when Conte was sort of implying that Arteta didn't have a right to complain about the fixtures last year because he'd cancelled the Tottenham game.
Yeah.
How he was like, look, I just give my opinion as I see it, and that's it. And he didn't even mention Conte. So it's not, he's not giving the other manager any sort of credence or sort of back and forth.
He's not even allowing there to be a back and forth, because what I feel sometimes affects the club. This is why I feel like Arteta's a very good tactician and I'm very impressed with him as a manager, because he could easily, especially it being Tottenham, especially him being an Arsenal fan, especially him being an invincible, you know, he could get into that conversation. You know, he could be like, well, he could go back and forth and start a debate. But all of a sudden, your players see that, you know, you're okay with going back and forth with your rival, then they feel like they can. And, you know, when it comes to the derby game, they're thinking more about putting in a crunching tackle instead of winning this match. Like, there's more to it. And whenever I see him, especially during his press conferences like we're talking about, I feel like if you look at his eyes, you can see him thinking about it. They will go, oh, so any more news on the Conte allegations or the Conte conversation? And you can see him thinking a million things, like in the space of 5 seconds. And he's like, no, I've said what I need to say about that. However, we're going to look forward to the upcoming season. And he'll give you something that you didn't even know that you wanted.
Oh, you know, sure, man.
Like, I think he's brilliant.
Yeah. And that takes a little bit of the sting out of the adrenaline of the situation. I feel by conducting himself in this very sort of reserved way,
Yeah.
that sends a message to the players that no, we need to sort of stay calm, stay composed, and stay controlling our process. Don't worry about the noise. Let's just stay in control. But there was one other thing, Ryan, that I loved last year. It was against Man United towards the end of the season. And it was a moment, there was like a 2 or 3 minute VAR check for a potential offside. And I think it might have involved Saka and Nketiah. And Saka played the crossing, and Nketiah was marginally offside. But in that same action, Saka was also fouled. So once they completed the offside check, they then went to look at the foul,
Yeah.
and it took like 90 seconds. And Arteta was like orchestrating the crowd to like make noise
Yeah.
to almost like build this energy of, yeah, let's try and get the penalty decision. And
Yeah.
that the penalty happened, we scored it. And then at half time, Paul Scholes was livid. Like I think he sort of called Arteta a disgrace, and he got really hyped up about it. But I
Yeah.
like that from Arteta. The fact that
Yeah.
United and these United players are sort of getting a little bit sort of put off by this guy. They're getting a bit ruffled. So Arteta is showing that his charisma can actually
Yeah.
affect the rivalry a little bit.
The balance of the game. And I think,
Mm.
again, it comes down to just being a master tactician. You know, like that game, I remember the game because even I completely forgot about the foul.
Mm.
So when the ball went, when they did the offside check, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, like, all right, let's regroup, boys, we're all good. And then it says checking for a possible penalty. I was like, wait a second, what? But I felt like I was there because I see Arteta doing this, and he's just like, guys, listen, if you don't call it, you don't get it. This is the day and age that we're in. But he showed in that moment that he's beyond being just a manager for this club. Like, he loves the club. He said, guys, make some noise for your team. Let's, like, if it was against us, they would do the exact same thing. So why are we letting them off? And these type of things are what I really like about Arteta. And I've said it from when he got appointed, and I'll say it to the day he retires. If he hopefully retires at Arsenal, and we're back in the good graces of where we should be. It's very rare, and I think Chelsea were wrong for it, that you get a manager that loves the club as well as just being your manager. You know, like whenever I've seen Mourinho at clubs, I feel like he's just doing his job.
Yeah.
When I see Tuchel, even when I see Tuchel now, I feel like he's just doing his job. When what was his name? The guy that used to be the Wolves manager and then managed Tottenham.
Oh, Nuno.
Like, I think he was a really good manager at Wolves because he had gone through the whole process with Wolves. And then he became the Tottenham manager. And I was just like, there's no chemistry. Like, you know, you don't have any, not like you don't have a love for the club. I mean, you can make a love for the club, but you don't have any like real connection to the club. And when it came about that we was going for this manager and that manager and this person and that person, and I saw Arteta took the job, I was like, yeah, we've got an ex-legend that's our director, you know, so you already know how much love he's got for the team, and you've got a legend now managing the club, and
absolutely,
it's difficult. It's like a manager, like my situation with the job I do, the CEX. Like, I applied for the store manager role and I didn't get it because the person that was applying for it as well, he's been in the company for about 5 years, so he's already knows what it's like to be in the store, to be like part of the operational side of it, to the point where you can't really be upset because this person loves what he does for him to want to ascend, you know. So this is like Arteta. He left the club as a player. He joined Man City. Was it straight away or did he go? I can't remember if he went somewhere first, but he went to Man City as an assistant manager, as assistant coach to one of the greatest managers of our time. Clearly, he's learned something.
Yes.
And he could have gone wherever he wanted, but he said, no, I'm going to go back to Arsenal. And I'm going to take the club that I love and I'm going to do my best and try get them back to where they should be. And really and truly, he's done exactly what he said he was going to do.
100%. And you know, one key thing, Ryan, as we've been talking about Arteta, I've realized something. You know, in those days with Wenger, especially like the last 5 years of his manager career at Arsenal, he was quite sort of withdrawn. He would often slump in his chair. His body language would be quite dejected. And you kind of feel that that vibe became associated with Arsenal on the pitch. They became this deflated sort of collective, lethargic. And you feel like even the officials and like the media would almost jump on it and like kick Arsenal while they were down. But because Arteta, whenever you see him on the touchline, he's actually outside of his technical box. Like he's almost on the sideline. So he wants to like almost be that force to say, no, you're not messing with Arsenal. I'm going to be there, like your coach in a boxing match, fight like at your corner. He's going to be there, like encouraging from the sidelines. And I feel that sort of steel is something Arteta has got back into Arsenal, which is huge.
Yeah, I feel like it, and it's exactly that. I think it's a case of which way is better to motivate the young players and the experienced players of the club than from the top. You know, like how I don't think it's possible to motivate a player that's been at a Champions League winning team, or you know, that has experienced the Champions League finals after the last couple of years, and then has had a big wage, that this is the place for you if you're passive. You know, like again, like we spoke about not even maybe 10, 15 minutes ago about Nketiah, Martinelli, Saliba. Like, how do you show these players that yes, right now we're not where we want to be, but this is the club for you. This is where we're going to make a difference. I'm going to be the spearhead that takes you all to where you want to go. You've just got to have faith in me. Now, you can't do that if, like you said, you're doing the Wenger and sitting there and throwing your hands up in the air and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, the kicking of the bottle, can't do the zip. You know, like there's certain things like...
Yeah, man, you just can't.
There's certain things you've got, like, it's your body language. If you want someone to give 100 and 200%, you've got to show that you're giving 200%.
Yeah.
You know, if you want a young player to feel like, what was it that Emil Smith Rowe said? He said, I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm an Arsenal player, I'm an Arsenal believer. I will be one of those one club players like Totti and Pirlo. Well, Totti more than Pirlo, but I'll be one of those one club players as long as they will let me. But you can't, like, people say things in the moment, but for someone to believe that, it has to be it has to come from more than just him. He said that because he sees how passionate that Arteta is.
Oh man, 100%.
And
it's infectious.
Everyone does this whole thing. You know, he's a new manager. He's never really managed a whole team before. You're right, he hasn't. But look how well he's doing, and he's still gaining experience. Yeah. Like imagine when he's been in the game as long as Pep has. Imagine where he will be. And I hope that he's at Arsenal when he gets to that point. Do you know what I mean? Like, but we have to have faith.
I think he will be, Ryan. I completely agree with you. I feel like he's got a love for Arsenal, and he wants to really take Arsenal back to this glory years in a way. And let's hope he can do it, Brian. I'm going to end it, Ryan, with one sort of last question, thought for the season. You can make it a prediction, whatever you want. But what is your overriding feeling going into this season for Arsenal?
Judging by what we've seen so far, judging by everything that we've spoken about, Arteta, the players, the faith, you know, the regimes, the chemistry across the park, across the pitch, I really think we have a great shout for third. I think we've got a great shout for third. especially with like we said, with more and a better strength in depth. Managed correctly, which I'm hoping Arteta has another like amazing season. I really think we've got a shout for third. Now, really and truly, I would just be happy with that. Personally, I would be happy at the end of the season if that is the only accolade or the only thing that we have. Bearing in mind that we still have every game, the players look like they gave their everything. They're tired. Do you know what I mean? They've given the crowd what they were asking for. They're just pure, unadulterated passion and love in every minute of the game. Now, the fan side of me would like to see one or two silverware in that mix. So third, as well as maybe the FA Cup again and the Carabao Cup, or it would be beautiful for us to get third and win the Europa League, so that no matter what happens, we are in the Champions League next season. You know, like that level of progression. That would be a lovely season for me. And just to see players wanting to stay, like fighting for the shirt. I want to see Matt Turner. I want to see him, pushing Ramsdale to be better than he was. I want to see Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus fighting for top goal scorer for Arsenal, or even top goal scorer for the season. I want to see Saka proving that the last couple of years wasn't a fault. It wasn't just I just had a good season. I want to see these things. I want to see consistency. For me, that would be a good season. Third, and if we can manage it, some silverware, that would be good.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, Ryan. And just my final thought, if we were to finish third, I would be over the moon with that. And the one cup I would want, Ryan, is the Europa League. Like, obviously the Premier League, because it's very prestigious. But to my knowledge, not that I can remember, we've hardly won a European trophy. So if we could win the Europa League, for me, that would take Arsenal into the next level. So that I would agree with you, Ryan. Third in the Europa League.
I've got one question for you.
Okay.
I've got one question for you.
Yeah.
We can make this interesting because we're definitely going to do an end of the season chat.
Yeah.
But who do you think is going to be your prediction for Arsenal player of the season?
Okay.
Arsenal player of the season and top goal scorer for Arsenal this season.
I'm thinking just the first name that came to my mind, Ryan, Gabriel Jesus, for both. I just think
for both?
Potentially for both. I just feel like I'm loving his attitude, Ryan. He looks completely inspired by this challenge of leading this new generation of Arsenal players. I love his leadership. I love his quality, his work rate. I can see him really spearheading Arsenal's season. So, yeah, that's my shout for that, Ryan.
Fair. That is a good shout. To be fair, I don't quite doubt you. I mean, I think he's going to have a very important season, but it's just difficult. I think that front five, either of the front five for me, I reckon it's going to be between, for top goal scorer, it'll be between the two of them, Gabriel Jesus or Nketiah, because Nketiah has shown that he's got a bit of a keen eye for goal. He has got a keen eye for goal. For them two for top goal scorer, but for player of the year, I'm struggling between Jesus, Saka, Martinelli, or Ødegaard. I'm really struggling because Ødegaard, for me, especially becoming the captain so quickly, I feel like he's really shown that he's grown over the last 2 years from being a lone player to being an Arsenal player. I think he's really grown. Saka, he's Saka, innit? He's just an amazing player.
Love him. Yeah.
Martinelli, I feel like he wants to prove something this year. I don't think he enjoyed being on the bench. I think this year he's gonna push himself to saying to Arteta, like, listen, I want to be your first choice left winger.
Yeah.
And Jesus, he's just, listen, I want to I think he's the type of player that wants to thank Arteta for having the faith, for putting so much, putting the faith in him, saying, "Listen, I'm going to bring you to this club, and I feel like you can do well." And I think Jesus is one of them players, like you said, his energy, his sharpness, like
Incredible.
I think he's gonna be real damaging, and I think he may actually outscore Haaland this season.
I was thinking the same thing, Ryan. I would not be surprised if that happened, because just with that new responsibility, that having that defined role as the main striker, I think he's really enjoying that challenge.
Mm.
But hey, Ryan, let's round it off there. As always, it's been a privilege. It's been wonderful having you here and
My
chatting
pleasure, man.
everything Arsenal. And I cannot wait to keep these chats going through the season.
Definitely, I can't. I think we're definitely gonna have some real good content this season. Like, there's just so much that's going on. Like even with other teams, there's so much going on. We're definitely gonna have some more digesting conversation.
Oh, it's going to be so exciting, man. I cannot wait for this season to start.
Your favorite kit, quickly before you end it. Your favorite kit, which one?
My favorite kit. So I quite like the pink. I really do, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be rocking it, man. We're going to be rocking
100%.
it. Yeah, I want to get it, mate. Like, I really like it. Everything about Arsenal right now, I'm just really enjoying the vibe, and it's tremendous, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Then, guys, thanks so much for listening. We love being there for you guys, and we enjoy the chat around everything Arsenal, the back and forth. So let's keep the dialogue up. But guys, thanks again to Ryan, and we'll be back with another video shortly. Peace, guys.
See you later, guys.